You know, Sam, one of the questions that I still get a lot of is clients wanting to understand exactly what it means, free consultation, and how that relates to a personal injury case.
Yeah, I get the same question. You're absolutely right because personal injury attorneys aren't paid like most other attorneys. So when someone comes in to see us, you don't have to pay a retainer. We don't charge for the consultation like many attorneys do. And if you hire us, we only get paid if we win for you. And that's something that sometimes I have to explain more than once to people because it just doesn't sound right to them that we only get paid if we win and we only get a percentage of what we win.
I still want to find a mechanic that will give me the same deal on my car to, if he's going to fix my transmission as we do giving for our clients. In other words, I only have to pay if the car runs for 5 years without breaking.
Right. Probably won't be able to find that. Well, and the same thing with the expenses. And I think that the way that our case expenses work really surprise people. So obviously, when people come to us, they don't have the money to be able to pay the court cost and the litigation expenses of paying for depositions and witness fees. They don't have the ability to pay a lot of times the money that it costs to get the medical treatment that they're trying to get. They may not even be able to afford the rental car that they need so desperately. They're very surprised most of the time to learn that we will front the case expenses as part of representing the client. And we only get those expenses back if we win. And that's basically our risk in the case. We're getting in the case with our clients.
And that really is a difference in the kind of work that we do and the work that a lawyer that practices a different type of law works. We are absolutely invested with our clients. As you mentioned, we advance all the expenses. That may be $1,000. It may be $2,000. In a complicated truck wreck or other type of serious case, we may have $100,000 invested in that person's case. That is a pretty good motivator. I mean, we are motivated to do well for our clients, and we don't win unless you win.
And if the client needs something, we can't always guarantee that we're able to pay for it right then out of pocket, but so far we've always been able to find a way. Whatever that took of figuring out some way to get the client what they needed, even if it was maybe trying to find a doctor that would treat them and wait to be paid until the case was resolved, or maybe find some company that would help us to finance the surgery that they needed so desperately that no health insurance would cover and the insurance of the trucking company wouldn't cover. And so sometimes this job requires us to be very creative to find a way to help our clients because quite frankly, if we don't do it, it's not going to get done.
That's exactly right. And you know, experience counts a lot for that. Over the years, we've learned a lot of outside the box thinking that can help clients reach those goals. Lots of times, for example, people don't realize that their own car insurance can sometimes cover whatever the damages are. We always tell our clients before and after they come in about the importance, for example, of personal injury protection and how that can be used to pay for your lost wages or pay for your medical bills, or even if you have health insurance, to pay for the co-pays for your medical bills. All of those things can be very important, and as my dad used to tell me growing up, it's not just what you don't know, it's what you don't know that you don't know, right? And so having an experienced lawyer that can help you kind of navigate those waters can really make a difference.
I'm glad that you mentioned a while ago that sometimes the amount of expenses that can be racked up on a case like this that continues on for quite some time because it's complex litigation and it's a very hard fight that we've gotten involved into. I literally saw a copy of another attorney's contract that was brought in to me by someone who had gone to meet with that other personal injury attorney and turned them down and decided not to hire them. And when they brought that contract into me, I saw that on that contract, that attorney was going to be charging the client 12% interest on all case expenses while the case was pending. So that means the longer the case drags on and the more money the attorney puts into it, the more profit that he's actually making off of his client. I just don't see how on earth that could be considered fair, Mike.
I don't either, and I've seen a lot of that, especially in the last 5 or 10 years, and I think it really causes a problem, because we're not supposed to have any kind of conflict of interest with our client. An attorney owes a client, and a client deserves 100% dedication, if looking out for your interest. How can an attorney be looking out for the client's interests if they're also charging them money interest on expenses? I don't see how you can reconcile those two things.
Well, and just to make it abundantly clear, we don't charge any interest whatsoever on expenses. We recoup our expenses back out of the settlement only if we are able to get a successfully settled case, that you agree to the settlement and you want the settlement. Otherwise, we lose those expenses just like our client. We are fully invested in not trying to make a profit on those expenses. We have our attorney's fee. That's what we agree to work for, and we're not trying to make anything extra.
Right. We get paid by our fee, not by interest on the expenses that we may spend on your behalf. That has always been the case, and that will always be the case.
Yeah.